you said it's your time, and then you said it's your time to heal, and that just really like, yeah, I don't know, that really drew me in. So it seems great, and I also um, like that you gave some concrete examples of how you're going to engage healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Thank you.
it was really clear. And I love that in the beginning, the question, like, how are you? It was, just, and then you like, don't just give me the regular answer, like, how are you? So I really love that. Right? It
Yeah.
really kind of drew me into, it's like, oh, I have to think about how am I? Excellent, excellent.
Thank you.
And any wins? What wins did you have this week?
Oh, let's see, this week, it's one of those weeks because, Monday was a holiday, so I felt like I lost a day. And it was kind of playing catch up. So I would say a win was being able to complete the lean canvas and be actually able to record this video. It felt like a win for me to take some time to kind of think about my next steps. So I see that as a win.
Excellent, excellent. All right, Misty, you want to go next?
Yes, I can go next. I actually just emailed you my video, Dr. Jackman. I'm sure if you got it. Um, this week has been interesting. I ended up getting like really confused about my business and um like what I want to do and what makes sense to really work on right now versus like what are some of my longer term visions, and whether it makes sense to really explore the coaching aspect because it could allow me, I think, just a lot more flexibility in terms of how I want to do things, or whether, it is ethical to do things, or I guess ethical in terms of the standards of my license to do things through a private practice way. So I ended up having a lot of confusion. But I'm just trying to accept that that's where I am.
Yeah, anything that we could help you kind of problem solve that, or
I would like to. I know that you said that you have some just knowledge about coaching, and I think it'd be helpful to like distinguish coaching a little bit more from like traditional therapy, and what it could allow versus what traditional therapy can't allow.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, definitely. We can let's circle back around that. All right. Let me play your video. And then Brianna, I'll loop you in quickly because I know you have to leave soon, so I'll make sure you go.
Okay.
If you want to queue up. Share screen.
My name is Misty Cranston Bates, and I'm the founder of Soul Freedom. Traditional adult therapy often centers challenge, struggle, and trauma. And yes, that's part of it, but it's not all of it. What is missing are elements like joy, dreaming, and imagination, and also deep relaxation. We are in a difficult historical moment, and prioritizing joy and rest is challenging. As an adult, we have a never-ending list of responsibilities. Many of us give so much time and energy to our jobs, leaving us nothing at the end of the day. And this is where I would like to help you. And I have tools and strategies for doing this. Things like getting outside in nature, connecting with your inner child through playful activities, like fostering a sense of wonder and engaging your imagination. I also have practices for deep rest and disconnection. As a queer woman of color, I've thought a lot about oppression. For people of marginalized identities, there's so many forces that keep us from accessing a sense of freedom. Joy is a form of resistance, and rest is a form of justice. And I would like to help you do this.
You guys better on mic.
Love it, love it.
Nice.
Great.
Nice.
How
Nice
did
job.
Yeah, how did that feel for you?
It was definitely helpful. I know that you had told me to kind of like talk about more, like not just naming the tools and strategies, but talking about more about how I'm gonna get there and what I'm gonna do. And that was helpful. And I think I spent a lot of this week thinking about that, hence the confusion, but also really, I think really getting more in touch with what I want to do.
Yeah, it was really clear. The words were so powerful. You know, it's funny, like there's how much you're able to pack into that minute. Like it's funny, right? Like when you think about like, oh, that was just a minute, a little over a minute. Your pace was also really good.
Mm.
Like you felt really grounded and in just communicating. And I love the words about joy and justice and resistance. Like it really captures kind of your frame and your values came through really well, very strongly.
Thank you.
Oh, Baina says, you sound like
funny.
spoken word.
I do poetry. That's so funny.
Oh, interesting, interesting. Any other thoughts or feedback for Misty?
I really enjoyed it. I felt like I felt seen. You know, I felt like it, you know, like I was like this person would truly understand. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was very clear. I had a clear understanding of your purpose and the mission and what I would receive. Yeah, that's a good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent, excellent. All right, Brianna, you're up next.
Oh, snap. Okay, hold on. The struggle is real. Okay, here we go.
And I know
All
you
right,
have a
so-
big, long day today, so I'm so glad you're able
Oh,
to join
God.
in for part of it.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry I'm missing the last day. That makes me so sad, but you know how it is. Okay, so I have yet to record this, as you know, because I haven't uploaded it, but I want to do my homework anyways, even though today's the last day. So I'm reading it. That's why I'm looking over here, but here we go. Okay.
Can
know that-
you shift the
Oh.
computer just a little bit so we can, you're a little
Oh,
out
see
of, there you go, perfect.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know that 1 in 5 women experience sexual violence in their lifetime, and that women of color face even higher rates? Women of color experience racism and gender-based violence, but often suffer in silence. And pain thrives in darkness. It's time we talk about it. Radical healing is for women of color to uproot the source of oppression while helping each other thrive. Healing happens in community, so let's speak truth to power. I'm Dr. Brianna French, psychologist, and you can contact me at briannafrench.com for radically healing from sexual violence. Okay, I got a snap.
Yes.
It sounds like an academic paper. I don't know.
It's good. I mean, I think you're kind of locating the problem, right? And you're also really kind of speaking to that kind of the generic experience of women, but then women of color and what they get when they come to you.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Anisha. Yeah, you know, I listened to the recording.
How do you feel? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I listened to the recording for last week, and I wish I would have heard it, you know, a month ago, because when you were talking about how not to take the clients that come your way because you need the money or you want to get going. So it really helped me, which is what I'm doing right now, and got a full caseload already, but want to really focus on like, who do I want to target? And so that's why I'm trying to be intentional about naming sexual assault specifically, but it's so, you know, it's traumatizing and taboo. So I don't know how to put that in a pitch very well, but anyhow, yeah, I'll keep working on it.
I really liked the community aspect of healing. I feel like that's unique and really important. So I like that you named that as something that you are trying to facilitate. Um, and I thought the education was interesting. Like at first I didn't know how I felt about it, but then I was like,
Yeah.
actually, this is actually really drawing me in and teaching
Hmm.
me something. And like this person is very knowledgeable. And that's, yeah, that's how I ended up feeling at the end of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Because you mix it up. You didn't just do stats, right? You talked also
Right.
about pain, living in dark. I'm not sure what that word was, but that
Mhm.
that really drew me too, as well as like, ooh, and
Yeah.
that silent, right?
Okay.
There was some of pain and silence, right? And that shame. I think that
Yeah.
was also very powerful, that people would connect to that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess other ways I could, I don't know, identify myself as a survivor or talk about like R. Kelly, or I'm trying to think of other ways to
Yeah.
get at the without naming stats or whatever. But
I
so
think
maybe
that
I'll
was
try.
fine because
Okay.
sometimes people, like, particularly with the silence around it, you don't know, like, okay, I'm not the only one, right? Sometimes people
Yeah.
also, there's like, well, there's a community of people who've had this. So I
Right.
think that's helpful. And you could think
Okay.
about different places. And I think this is for everyone, one of the things that, I encourage people, video is more, people are moving more to video. So you might see some people have websites where there's a little video intro of the owner. So you could think about that might be a place. But the
Mm.
content you also
Mm.
provided, that could be one of your pages where you talk about sexual trauma,
Mm.
right? So there's some there are
Mhm. That's a
places
good
that you
point.
may put that it may not end up in your video, but there's still this content and information that you want people to know. So I think that's the
Yeah.
important piece. Yeah. And I think those stats are important for us to hear.
Thank you.
All right, Randy, you're up.
Fortunately, I'm not thoroughly prepared for this presentation today. I just got wrapped up in a whirlwind of things with the midterms approaching and work. So I've been lost.
Okay.
But it's definitely something I definitely intend to work on, like immediately.
All right. So you're gonna have to send it to me. Yeah. Oh, so I'm gonna, I'm gonna be grading these papers now. I'm just
no. I formulated an idea. I just need to sit down
and you shared something last week. So I don't even know why you like, because remember you shared something. Was it last week or the week before? I can't remember.
No, last week I was ill, so I wasn't in class.
Oh,
so
right. But I thought you did share a little bit. Yeah. Okay. How are you doing? Are you doing better?
Oh, yes, I'm doing a lot better.
Okay.
Just playing catch up with everything now.
Got you. Do you want to share a win that you had for this week?
A win? I got to relax. I got to relax. My cousin came in to visit earlier this week, so it was nice to catch up with her. Yeah, and she left right before the snowstorm, so I got to relax, clean, and do all the things I needed to do.
There you go. Misty's giving you a heart. That's speaking Misty's language right there.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But thank you.
Yeah, of course. Baina?
Hi, everyone. I feel like I've been in like a brain fog, really, when it comes to my pitch, just because I got my branding survey responses back, and it's really interesting what everyone assumes will be my niche. Because a lot of people brought up fitness, and I had a conversation with a friend I haven't seen in years, and he said the same thing when I said I was opening up a business, and he was like, "Oh, is it about fitness?" And I said, "That's interesting because that's what everybody thinks, but no, I'm a social worker." And he said, "Well, you post a lot about fitness and you seem to know what you're doing." So I'm kind of conflicted where now I guess the way I'm coming off on social media versus what I would like to come off are two different things. And so now I'm trying to figure out how to, granted, I did want to incorporate fitness later on down the road, So I'm just trying to shift the way in which I present myself to people to figure out how to properly do my pitch.
So
that's
you post a lot of stuff on fitness. People are seeing you as this fitness expert. Why are you fighting it?
So the funny thing is, I only post about fitness because it holds myself accountable. That means I went, because if I didn't post, I didn't go. So
Right.
that's what it was for me. But I'm noticing people are reaching out to me in regards to, like, you know, coaching questions.
Mhm.
And I think for me, I'm kind of just like, I'm still learning. I'm just figuring it out. So I don't want to steer anybody the wrong way. But I'm like, hey, look, social work is what I do best, though. Look at this, and trying to kind of change that. So I don't know. But a win for me in that is that I've spoken to a couple accountants this week, and in discussing tax write-offs and stuff like that, there's an event that I was looking to go to in Houston in regards to fitness, and I just found out that they have a mental health conference wrapped into it's called Ebony Fit Weekend. And they have a mental health conference about building your brand and opening your business. So that was definitely a happy insight to kind of aid in this confusion that I have, to see if I can blend both of them and kind of figure out where to go from there. So I'm excited about that.
That is exciting. Yeah, look at that. I'm telling you, like, it's coming together. And it's funny that sometimes the more that you think about your business, you can get to this place where it's like, it can become overwhelming and there's so many thoughts. When I was going through one of the accelerators, one of my mentors named it spiraling. I'm like, oh, there's a word for it. Because that's exactly, I just felt like I was going around in circles. And so I know some of you mentioned that, kind of like a little bit of confusion as you're kind of trying to get clarity, but just stick with it. This is all part of the process, right? Just stick with it, keep moving through, keep wrestling with it. And there will be it's almost like walking through this forest and you think you're lost, and then you end up in this beautiful, maybe on a beach or something, right? So just go through the process. It's part of it. Don't try to resist it too much. Just name it as, this is part of the process, that I'm figuring things out, and they'll feel fuzzy and confusing as I go through it, but there will be clarity at the end of this process.
Yes, and thank you, everyone. I do see the chat in regards to the comments.
All right, and I want to talk to you. I'll share at the end of the moment, because there's a couple opportunities that came up this week, and I wanted to share with folks who are local. All right, so who's next? So Anisha, do you want to go? Hi, Shanae, welcome.
Sure. I had, I don't know if it's an Android thing, but it's so hard sending videos to other people. And so mine's in queue. It's still uploading from yesterday. I'm going to see if I can play it from my phone. I don't know.
You can also just
do it live.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Sorry, girl.
The one who had me play hers. That's okay.
I know, always.
All right, I'll do it live.
Let's give her lots of love. You got this. Woo.
I'm gonna be reading.
All right, it's okay.
Okay. Women wear so many hats and operate in so many roles that pose a risk to one's emotional, physical, spiritual, and overall well-being. Are you one of them? If so, let's connect and work together. I'm Anisha of That Water Love, and at That Water Love, we provide individual therapy, groups that cater to women's specific needs. And it's important that you know, you deserve to heal. And I want to provide you with the tools and resources that help you do so. So with that being said, let your healing journey begin.
Ooh, love it. How did that feel?
It feels like me.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that I've been having conversations just in general around is even like in supervision for my practica is that I just always feel like I'm authentically being me. Like when I'm in the therapy room, when I'm on platforms, I think you and I talked about it from the event. I just always want to feel like I'm authentically like talking and operating and just being me. So it felt like me.
Mhm. Yeah, you're a star. I love the question. You talked about these many hats. Then you're like, are you one of them? I was like, you're reading my life right now. That was really good because it was unexpected, right? It was unexpected. And it kind of makes you pause and think, okay, am I one of them?
Thank you.
It's a nice
And
hook.
it kind of flowed like water, which just went with the name. So I like
Mhm.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had that feeling as well too, Miss C.
Thank you.
All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. So I know Shanae, sounds like you have to keep your camera and mic off. Dana, do you want to share your pitch? And before we move on, did you give updates, Anisha? Any wins this week?
I would say a win is I feel like since starting this masterclass, like I'm able to really hone in on like my niche. And so I've realized, I think in the last 2 weeks, like self-love is really one of my strong points. And so I would call that a win because I just have, I don't know, I feel like when you know what your lane is, then you can like really start to operate and like hone in and focus in on it. So it feels good to kind of start honing in on what I think my lane is.
Honing it and owning it. Love that. All right, Dana.
So I have not updated my pitch. Sorry. Yeah, so I think that after like hearing everyone's pitches between last week and this week, and I think maybe Brianna asked this as well, like my thought is, do I want to, I guess, get more personal about my connection to what I'm doing or keep it more general? So I could do it again, but I haven't added anything to it. Yeah.
Would it help for you to do it again? Just there are new people in here, but also just the exercise of talking about.
Yes. Can I have 1 minute to just
Gather your thoughts? Got you. Okay. So again, as Dana gathers her thoughts, let me know when you're ready. This is an exercise that I'm having you do because I do want you to really, I think it pushes you to think about what is my message. It kind of pushes you to think about what is my expertise, what is my niche, where do I want to focus? And again, you can think creatively about, okay, so how would I use this, right? So if you approach a client, you're not necessarily going to go into pitch mode, right? But it's really about for you having the language and the words and vocabulary that you want to talk about when someone asks you, what do you do, right? So it's an opportunity to have that clarity about what it is that you do. I also want you to think about, okay, again, where do I now put this information? Am I going to create a welcome video on my website that when people come on my website, they get to experience me, right? They get to experience you and your expertise, and they get a feel for you, right? That's an opportunity. Or is this going to go into my about me story or my services, right? So, or all of it, right? So thinking about also part of the exercise of putting all this together is for you to also think about the different content pages on your website and where might some of these pieces land. So it is an exercise, but it's again, helping you hone your language, hone your story and own your story, but also just the practice of talking about it more confidently, right? All of you, as you talked about it, there's a sense of confidence and assuredness when you're talking about your business, that like, I'm sure everyone would agree, like when you share those stories or those pitches, it's very clear that you're clear about what you're doing and who you want to work with. So I think it also helps to build that confidence as you think about your business and you think about what you're going to offer for your clients. Ready, Dana? You got this, come on.
No, it's okay. All right. Hi, my name is Dana Haynes. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and founder of Healing in Sage Counseling. Too many people go through grief and bereavement alone, feeling isolated, not feeling seen, and just also not feeling validated in their experience. Many people become overwhelmed with the emotions that they experience as they grieve and feel that they do not have anywhere to have an outlet to express those emotions. At Healing in Sage Counseling, we offer individual, family, and small group sessions to provide you with that space to begin your healing. Contact us to learn more about how we can support you on your journey through grief and bereavement.
Love it. It's clear. It's like you talk about who you're going to serve, why, right? Why this is important to you. So I think you're in a good place.
Thank you. It didn't feel that way, but
What are other people, what help can people felt hopeful? What are other reactions people have to Dana's pitch?
I liked it. I felt like it was very clear, like who you are, what you do, who you want to serve. So I thought it was very clear. Like I know exactly what I'm getting, what I will receive. Well, it was good.
I was wondering if have you already started this?
I have not started this, but in the work that I do now, I do a lot of grief work. So I think that there was some, just sort of practice in talking about that in my current position.
Yeah, that really came through because I was thinking this is somebody who's been doing this for years and has a lot of experience around this.
So your expertise is coming through.
Thank you, everyone. That's very encouraging.
Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Randy, one more chance. All right. Okay. That's all right. I want to give a chance. Sometimes people change their minds. So let's, I want to go into our lean canvas. And, again, your pitch is kind of a summary of that, but I want to just hear where people are at, where you are feeling really strong, where you might want some support, some feedback from us about where you're going. And I got to Misty and Deshawn shared their lean canvases with me, which was great because then I also saw, I was like, oh, there are things that I was thinking about connections for you. So anyone want to talk about kind of where they're at? How is filling in the lean canvas? How has that helped to give more clarity, confidence? Yeah, let's, and any pieces you like, oh, can you help me workshop this part? So.
I think for me, the revenue portion,
Mhm.
so I've been applying for business credit cards, and one of the things that they ask you is your estimated revenue. And I don't really know how to scale that considering I haven't started seeing clients. And so I think what it looks like to them is that if they look at the start date, I started the business January, end of January. And
Mhm.
now it's February and I'm applying for a card, and yet I don't have revenue yet. And so even if they ask me for an estimation, I'm unsure considering I'm looking to start off just for the summertime and then hopefully go to full time. So that part always leaves a big question mark for me. Yeah.
So I would definitely direct you back to the session fee calculator. Do you remember that? I can try to pull that up.
Yes, I remember that.
Remember that? So I would use that. So think about, okay, so how many hours do you anticipate working in your practice? And then how many of those sessions are maybe insurance-based? How many might be self-pay or other things that you might be doing, right? So I think that, so I would use that formula to say, okay, so I'm working 20 hours, seeing 20 clients a week. 10 of those will be insurance, and insurance pays, say, $100 per hour. So you can average that out. Then maybe another 5 hours is self-pay. Maybe there's another 5 hours that's workshops or something else, right? So you can kind of carve it out. And then you're just estimating what you expect to get from those. So I would use that, that formula. So again, start with how many hours you think you'll be seeing clients per week or engaging in revenue generating activities. And then what are the fees for those activities? Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you for that.
And I wanted, because you're in schools, right? I was just having a conversation with a principal this week, and she wants to offer therapy services for her teachers. And I think she's willing to pay some of that, and some of it might be insurance based. So I know Misty, also reading your thing, I was like, oh, I didn't know you work with teachers. And she really wants someone who has experience in schools. So I thought about you for sure, Baina, because I know you've worked in schools. So that's something I'd love to talk with you offline about if you're interested and if you're ready to start pretty soon.
Yes, I would definitely be interested because I think there definitely is a high need for teachers, which is something I was trying to get my principal to understand. So I am definitely open to that.
Awesome, awesome. And Misty, I don't know if you were as well.
Sorry, I had to run to the bathroom and I missed that.
Okay, I was saying that I had a conversation with a principal in Boston this week, and she wants to provide clinical therapy resources for her staff. And I read when you shared your link canvas that teachers were a segment of the population that you wanted to work with. So I wanted to know if you were interested in some of that, and given, I can put your name forward as someone who might be interested, but I think she wants someone who can, and I have a couple other people, so you don't have to be on site or provide all of that work, and I think she may be willing to pay for some of it or have people use their insurance, so.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk more about it.
Awesome, great. Other questions about the Lean Canvas and kind of where you're at, what parts you felt comfortable with, which parts you struggled with?
There's not enough space.
I give you guys a bunch of different ones, but you can create your own, right? You can make your own. I love it. I love it. I know you had asked the question about what is your X to Y analogy, and I
Yeah.
don't know that this necessarily applies for us, but so for example, when I talked about like InnoPsych, I would say like InnoPsych is like psychology today, but focus on communities of color. So it's kind of taking something that's people know and have a connection to, like, you know, maybe you're coming to people's homes doing therapy. So you'd be like the Uber of therapy, right? So you take something that people can connect to, and then you talk about how your model is similar and different to that.
Okay.
But I don't know that it necessarily fits for some of the work that we're doing. So that's why I say, don't worry about that part too much. Others, Brianna, Dana, anyone else in terms of the lean canvas? What parts, what felt easy? What was easy for you?
Can you talk more about the metrics section?
Yes, absolutely. So the metrics is really kind of the things that you're gonna use to track success. It could either be it could be both, right? Success for your clients and success for your business. So one of the things that I have people think about is, again, particularly when you're talking about your services and showing value, being able to show, you know, I have, you know, my clients report either the satisfaction with my services, or they report a decline in, you know, their stress, or within 2 weeks, or they have a clear plan for their rest, right? You know, so think about the things that you're going to use to track client success. And I know like some insurance models are moving to that place where they give you kind of extra when you're able to show growth and improvement in your clients. So you might think about having a survey. It could be a brief survey, or at the end of each session, they have a went well, didn't go well, you know, so there could be very simple things that you use to just track your client satisfaction. And then from the business perspective, these are markers that you get to decide what your key performance indicators are. Some people track, like some group practices might track their no-show rate, right? So they want to keep that no-show rate very low. They may track, you know, the number of your income, right? How much you make each month. Right, so you kind of decide how I'm going to know that this business is working, and what are the things that you're going to use to track that.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Of course. I think in my business, I definitely tracked revenue, like income revenue. It was also for me, as I moved more away from therapy, it helped me to track like my per hour fee, right? So I think I shared with you last week, you know, my therapy rate is one rate, but if I'm doing other things, then those get to be higher rates. And then that really helped me really see like, okay, like a lot of your revenue is not coming from therapy. So that's not where I wanted to put my energy anymore, right? So for me, it's like, okay, what is the activity that I'm doing that's giving me the highest return per hour? And so it might also help you kind of see like where's your business coming from? Again, depending on what metrics you decide, you may realize like, oh, all of my clients are Black women. So why am I trying to message to all women, right? So let me just focus on this group because this is the group I'm working with. So there are a number of different things that you wanted to look at your data and your client load, and that will help you make decisions about your business too. Does that make sense? Maybe there's a referral source. You notice all my referrals are coming from this company or this person, or so let me make sure I'm targeting more information for them, really bringing them in and making sure they understand what I'm doing, right? Or it might say, oh, this is another part I'd like to this is another referral source I'd like to improve. And so you might direct your energy there. So again, there are different things that you're going to be tracking that will help you figure out where you want to spend your time and energy, where you might need to spend more time and energy, right? So those are things that you want to track. And it might, you may start with different metrics. And as you, again, looking at your picture, whether it's looking at your profit and losses, your statements, I think that's been helpful for me. My bookkeeper, we have like the different accounts. So I have everything split out, like my therapy services, my writing, my speaking. So I know I can look at that in the month or at the year, like what are the different activities and how much revenue those different activities are bringing in. And again, that's then helping me be more informed about the decision that I'm making going forward about my business.
My bad. Sorry about that. Could you say more about kind of speaking of that revenue, how you decided when you were still working full time, what to hit for or aim for? What I guess I'm thinking about, because I have this full-time job and I think a lot of us are in the same position, are going to do this business on the side. I want to be real careful not to say yes to too many things and get burnt out, but then also not, I don't know, finding that balance. And I don't know if you have any strategies for that. Maybe you talked about this already and I missed it, but.
Yeah, no, I can actually, and I can move on from this and I will talk about that in a minute, but anyone else have any questions, or I can just move on to that piece? Any more questions are around the Lean Canvas? Okay. Great segue, Brianna. So we did that. So when I think about this next section is really about setting your goals. And I want to share a couple, tools that I use that help me. And then I'm going to give you some time to just really kind of focus in on your next 30, 60, 90-day goals. And then I'll go through and do the state of power exercise. So let me go to this one first and I'll come back. So this is an ideal week. And you'll have access. Let me grab the link so you guys can pull it up. Where is it? I'll share this with you. You can just make a copy for yourself. All right. Oops. Sorry, that's the wrong window. So this is a tool that I've been using. My business coach gave me this like a year ago, and it took me a while to really kind of own it. But this helps you kind of set up how you want to spend, what does an ideal week look for you? And, again, everyone's week is going to look different. This is one that I have right now, although I need to adjust it. So I think to your question, Brianna, I think it's going to be important for you to set aside how many hours in the week I'm going to have as client hours, right? Where I am face-to-face with a client. And I think that will help you then be very clear about what your capacity is to take on more work or not. So I really encourage you to do this. And it takes a couple tries to go through and do it. And try to be detailed as possible. I broke these down into, I have another version where I break these down into half-hour increments because I need more time. So kind of, again, think about what will work for you. What is the client meetings, right? So the green here is the face-to-face meetings. But also I realized last year I wasn't building in time to actually do the work. Like for my consulting stuff, I wasn't building in, and I would be like overwhelmed because I'm like, when am I going to do this? I had lots of meetings scheduled in my day, whether it was new business development or client meetings. So really going through your week and looking at, okay, what is the time that I have for client meetings? What is the time I have to do the business, the operations of my business, billing, right? The things that I avoid. What is the time you're actually going to do the work? Building in free time exercise, and also being realistic. I think I used to have where I would check emails at night after the kids went to sleep. I still have that there, but I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to get away from doing that. So it's really about looking at your schedule. This has Saturday and Sundays off. That's not necessarily true for me anymore, but I don't work as much, right? There was a time where I would just be on all the time. And so this really helps me to be very clear about when I want to be on, when I want to be off, and how I'm spreading out those different times.
That's helpful. Thank you. Absolutely.
Any other questions about this ideal week? And I would encourage you all to do this because, again, as you raised the question, Brianna, like you're working full time. So, you know, a lot of your weekday time will probably be blocked out for that. And then, you know, how late do you want to work in the evening? Or do you want to put more in the weekends, right? So really being realistic with yourself. And, you know, also not taking into account the face-to-face time, but also the prep time, right? And a lot of times I didn't do that. And I was like, why am I so stressed out? Oh, you took all these things, but you didn't account, you just thought about the FaceTime. You didn't think about, oh, I'm gonna need 2 hours to get this workshop together. Or, you know, the time I need to review my client records before I actually see them, right? So making sure you're building in that prep time and being realistic about that, being very generous, because sometimes we kind of underestimate how long things will take. Make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Awesome. So this other tool, and let me put that one. This other one, hold on. Actually, I'll share this. I'll share it this way. This is a great tool for organizing and staying on track of your priorities. So let me share. Oops. All right, Brianna, see you. She's gone. All right. So this is a great one. And I wanted to just share the screen because there are a bunch of tabs here. See at the bottom. So this is a quarterly planning. So as you're thinking about your business, I like to think of in quarters. And part of the reason that I do that is when you start your business, you're going to have to file quarterly taxes. So each quarter you have to put in your estimated taxes, even if it's a sole proprietorship. And it's really important to send that out so you can actually get penalized by the IRS for not sending in those estimated payments, and your accountant can help you do that. But I think it's a great way to break up your year. Again, a lot of businesses use the quarters as a way to do that. I start with January. Some businesses don't start their fiscal year in January. So again, thinking about what makes sense for you. So this is an opportunity to think about what are your goals, right? What are the things you want to accomplish? What do you need to get started? And then being able to break that down by different things you want to do each month to keep that momentum going, right? So, February, you might be working on your fee structures, right? And March, you might be working on building your website. April, you might start to advertise, right? So you might think about, oh, if I have a June start, what are the things that I need to get done for June? Right. So this is a way to help you, again, just organize. And again, this is a tool that I'm sharing. You may have your own system. Excuse me. This is another way to look at it, right? And one of these might work for you that you might use. I always love this day. This is a monthly priority list, but I also do this with each day. Like, what are the 2 or 3 things I want to get done today that will make me feel successful, that I've accomplished something? I always have this never-ending to-do list, and I can get lost in that. It really helps me to okay, focus on what is the priority for today. And then there's the same model, like you can think about for the month, like what are the things that I want to make sure I get done this month? And I encourage you to keep that list short, right? Because if it gets too long, you can really get lost. So it's safe, up to 5 things. What are the top 5 things you want to get done? And if you get through those, maybe there are other things you can add, or you can go back to another month where you didn't finish that list, right? But really starting off with what are my priorities in order to keep moving forward with my business. And then within then, so you have the quarterly, you have monthly, and then weekly, you can go through and do, okay, what are the 3 to 5 things I want to get done this week, right? And I've started to model that with you, right? Having your weekly goals. So I really want to encourage you to keep that model going, because it really helps just set you up to continue that success. For some people, they kind of start on Sunday, like Sunday night, let me think about what are the things I want to get done, or maybe Saturday, right? What is it? Build it in that time as well to really think and plan ahead for the upcoming week. And then this is just a monthly, this is another way that you can organize by task. So you could do this by month. This is February, but right. So there may be things that you want to do. Try to reduce it a little bit. For some people, it's easier to organize by the task, right? So if you're, I need to get my clinical forms done. So I'm going to do that this date, right? So you could think about all the different things you want, your priorities, and bringing them down into different activities over the month. Questions? Helpful? Too much? And again, you don't have to use all of these. When someone, I have tried this has not worked for me. The weekly schedule works better for me, and the keeping the day-to-day. So, but for some people, it's, again, thinking about what works for you, or borrowing, right? Like, oh, I love that part. Let me make it my own. But I really want to have tools that help you focus on really organizing and prioritizing the activities that you want to get done. All right. Any questions, comments? And if there are things that you use that work for you, please let's share, right? Like, this is all about this community. What are some things that you've used to help you stay on track with the different goals and tasks that you have? You have an accountability, but how do you set up, like, what are they keeping you accountable? So how do you set up yourself to say, okay, you need to help me keep me accountable on this, right? But how do you organize those things that you want to be kept accountable on?
I have one accountability buddy right now, and we just meet monthly and we set monthly goals and then talk about it.
Mhm.
That has not been like specific to my practice, but I want to start integrating that into that, and also using that support system that we had discussed before a little bit more for those things.
Great.
Agreed.
Go ahead, Dana.
Real quickly, I have two friends that we speak weekly, and it does help because I'm like, oh, I gotta have something to talk about when we meet on Mondays. I get it done. So I with Misty. Yeah.
I do my calendar. My calendar is basically like a task list every day. And I do what you said. So every Sunday, I look at what I have, like, whatever is due, whatever I need to work on, I allot time every day because I try to fight procrastination. So I have to, so I have to do things in chunks. And so, yeah, my calendar really helps keep me focused and accountable, for not overbooking, not overdoing it. And so it's been helpful.
Yeah, I have a paper calendar and I have also the digital calendar, but I like being able to write and erase and move around. I think that's the system I grew up with, and that's easier for me. And I have a smaller little book that I write my top things I want to get done for the day, for the week. And it's important to like the calendar that I spent hours and days sometimes finding the right calendar. So like this one, it has to have I don't know if for you guys who use a paper planner. So like this has like the priorities that I want to get done this week, goals. Then it has by half hour. So because my days like I need the half hour thing. Then it has I can do a to-do list here. This is not big enough for my to-do list. So that's so I always spend needed to find the right type of calendar that also captures the way that I think and the way that my brain works as well. Old school, yeah. How about for others? Do you use a planner? Like, how do you keep track of your to-do list and the things you want to get done? What's your organization tools?
For me, I do use a calendar as a system that a combination of old school, new school, if you will, because at one point in time, I would put everything in my calendar, but I wanted to track to see how I was using my time and what I needed to cut, what things I need to cut out. And so there's an app called Eternity. And so I would use that app and it'll break down and give you pie charts in regards to how you're using your time. So I just look for different apps. So I kind of eventually got away from the paper calendar, but it was helpful because it reinforced for me. So like if I would put it in my calendar and if I would write it down, it would reinforce and I could kind of remember what was going to happen. Because sometimes even with you put stuff in your in your calendar, you'll still forget. Even if you have an alarm that go off, whatever, you may still forget. So I'll do that. Yeah, so that's one of the things. And then I was actually even beginning to look at like a project management tool like Asana. Kind of look at that to kind of help manage. So it's so interesting, kind of the calendar breakdown and stuff like that, the strategic, I call it strategic goals. I start with the big picture, then break it down. And I have my students do the same thing. So it really helps and they appreciate it. Yeah, so I do some of the similar things.
Great. And one of my assistant just gave there's some add-on and I forgot what's called to help track the time. There's a Google add-on or extension that you can use to track that, how much time you're spending in activities. I've used Asana. My marketing person uses Asana to help organize our tasks and my assistant as well. And I've used it too. It's like, you just need to be super organized. And I'm like, and it helps, right? It helps when you're consistent with it. So I liked Asana too. It took a while for me to understand how the flow works, but I think it can really help. So those are other tools that can help organize, particularly as people started to build, they want to build out their content for their social media. Those are great tools that help you organize, especially if you're working with other people on your team as well. Awesome. Great. Okay. How about for you, Randy? What do you use to organize?
I usually, nowadays, I just create a to-do list on Google Docs, because my method before wasn't working or wasn't that effective. My supervisor called me out on it because I would do things largely based on memory. But then what she mentioned to me is that, okay, sometimes it'll be effective, but if something new pops up, my priorities would shift and everything that was on my to-do list before, both and mentally, it would get pushed down. So which would lead to things not getting done on time. Definitely Google
And I
that.
think, yeah, for sure. And I think that because I used to rely on that too. And then, but there's this mental load that you carry having to remember everything. And it becomes unsustainable, right? Because then you forget stuff, right? Because it just can't. Our brains don't work quite like that, especially if we're busy, right? It's different if you're like just chilling out. You have like 5 things on your list, and that's all you have to do. Like my son, like if he has something he needs to get, like it's a priority for him. He's not going to forget it. But I think when we have multiple roles and doing multiple things, it just becomes really unsustainable to do that. Great. All right. So what I want to do now is to give 15 minutes for you to just write down, like, what do you want to get done in the next 30 days? And if you, again, think about your priorities, right? That will help you keep moving your business forward, your practice or launching. If you have, I don't know, some of you might have shared when you, like Biona shared, she wants to start in the summer. Also kind of share when is your ideal time of starting if you haven't started. And if you have time, move on to 60 days and then 90 days. But think about what are the top 3 things you want to make sure you get done in the next 30 days. And what are some activities that you need to do to make that happen. And then we'll come back together. Any questions about that? Okay.